The room went quiet in the way forests do before something is hunted. Fork suspended mid-air. A waiter froze with a glass tilted like it had forgotten gravity. My wife's finger was still pointed. Not at me. At him. Tall, dark. Veins like cords pulled tight under skin polished by effort and chemicals. A man built like an apology women never stop waiting for. She laughed. A small, careless sound. I'd gladly trade my husband for that, she said, voice sugar-light, eyes glittering with wine and cruelty. I bet he has a huge... The word landed, heavy, wet, public. My friends didn't laugh. They studied their plates like archaeologists discovering bones. She noticed the silence too late. Touched my arm, nails gentle, performative. Oh, relax, honey, it's a joke, don't be so petty. Petty. That word crawled inside my skull and began rearranging furniture. I felt my pulse slow, not race. Slow. The dangerous kind of calm. Across the room, the tall man didn't smile. He didn't look embarrassed. He looked familiar with this type of moment, like he'd been pointed at before. Like women used men like me as stepping stones to feel taller beside him. My wife leaned closer, whispering, breath warm with alcohol and indifference. You're being dramatic. Dramatic. Another word. Another incision. I studied her face. The one I memorized in softer years. The mouth that once said my name like it meant shelter. The eyes that used to search mine before making decisions. Now they were searching for approval. Not from me, from the room, from him, from anything taller than loyalty. Something in my chest shifted, not breaking, detaching, a quiet mechanical click. I realized then that this moment wasn't new. It was only loud, public, what had been private for a long time. I opened my mouth, not to shout, not to defend myself, not to beg for dignity. I spoke carefully, soft enough that people leaned in without realizing they were afraid. My voice didn't shake. Hers did, not yet, but it would, because while she was busy turning me into furniture, I had already learned how to read the blueprint of the house she was secretly living in, and houses like that always have doors the owner forgets about. I smiled at her, the kind of smile that isn't forgiveness. It's inventory. Then I said the thing that made her fingers finally stop pointing and start trembling. I told her I was going to the restroom. That was my reply. Polite, small, harmless. Her shoulders loosened with relief. She thought she'd won something, a point, a man reduced. I didn't correct her. That night, she slept fast. The satisfied sleep of someone who believes humiliation is a victimless sport. I lay beside her, listening to her breathe. Counting the spaces between, I started quietly. Phone records first, not messages. She was smarter than that. Calls erased, patterns preserved, a number that only existed between gym hours and girls' nights. Then receipts. Protein bars we don't eat. Hotels she never mentioned. A cologne sample in her purse that didn't belong to me. And finally, a name. The tall man from the restaurant didn't work there. But he worked somewhere else. A private gym across the river. I visited once, signed up for a tour. He recognized me. Not my face. My posture. Men like him always recognize the men standing behind the women they borrow. I watched him train. Watched women orbit him like tired planets. I waited. 3 weeks later, I placed the printed phone records on our kitchen table. Neat, aligned. I poured coffee. She came in smiling. Stopped. Sat down slowly. Didn't touch the papers. Didn't touch me. Her voice cracked once, only once. You went through my things. I nodded. She cried the way people cry when their reflection betrays them. Not for me. For the version of herself she could no longer pretend to be. I never raised my voice. I never asked why. I only slid my wedding ring across the table. It made a soft sound, like punctuation. 2 days later, I invited our friends to dinner. Same restaurant. Same table. She didn't know why until she saw him walk in. He hesitated. I waved him over. Introduced myself properly this time. My wife's face collapsed inward, like a building realizing gravity still works. I stood, lifted my glass, spoke calmly. I just wanted to thank you, I said to him, for taking what was already empty. Then I looked at her, not with anger, with understanding. The cruel kind. You were right, I said softly. Some trades are easy, I left cash on the table. Enough to cover everything, including her performance. Outside, the night air felt surgical. Clean, precise. I didn't block her number. I simply never answered again. Some men scream, some beg. I learned something quieter. How to exit a life without slamming the door, and how silence, when chosen, becomes a verdict, not a wound. The last thing I ever felt for her wasn't hatred. It was distance. And distance is the only revenge that doesn't rot in your hands.